Hey y'all, and welcome to Stivers Uncensored. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jen.
And today we got another spicy one for you. And it is strictly, again, thanks to you all and your emails. I'm really loving the emails.
Thank you. It's pretty cool.
It's been pretty awesome hearing your all stories. Also kind of like hearing your all's assumptions of us too.
Mm-hmm.
I know that kind of sounds silly, but as a public figure that we like to kind of say, because we do a lot of stuff on social media, it is interesting to see what people think about us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get such a short snippet of our life, but a lot of the emails of you all that are watching this channel, pretty close.
Pretty spot on.
Yeah, I mean, y'all really seem to know us pretty well. And that's been pretty cool. So we've got couple more questions that have came in. We've actually gotten a lot of questions that have came in, but we're going to split these up into a couple different videos. But I will say this one is another one with the warning. Let's make sure no children around. There are going to be words that are said that you might not want your children to hear. So just kind of have that pre-warning. As always, this is primarily for spouses, for you all to get deeper into conversation. Allow us to answer your questions that maybe help you start the conversation at home. That's the hope, at least, right? To kind of deep dive and really get a better understanding of each other. So with that being said, I think it's time to jump right in there. Okay. So you all heard my plea to say, hey, let's put her on the hot seat a little bit. And so I appreciate it. This one is definitely going to be more from the eyes of a woman, and the stuff that they kind of go through when it comes to sexual needs, sexual desire, and then also kind of on like the jealousy side of things too. Yeah. So that's kind of what we're going at. So we're going to jump into the spicy question and then more of the softball one to follow. So I will tee it up for her. The question was a follow-up from the previous video that we had because it was talking about a lot to do with men and men masturbation and all that good stuff and how many times. And if you didn't see it, go check out that video. It was the previous one that we posted on here. The question was, what about women? What about women? Women masturbation, is the need the same? Is it different? What drives that? And so this is going to be from the eyes of Jen and her needs.
So when he talked about his, I think he briefly mentioned it can be like an ebb and flow kind of thing. Not always is it the same. There's times when it's different, whether in age or, what's going on in the home or outside of the home, how you are connecting with your spouse or not at all. And so it's kind of the same answer, starting with that. It's just kind of different seasons of life. But I can say, for the most part, consistently, it's the same for me as it is for him. The same explanation that he gave, to where the drive is every day. Now, it's not always that way, but I would say 95 to 99% of the time it is that way, and it is that way for me. So, thankfully, with this stage that we are in our life, we're able to satisfy that together most of the time. And then when we aren't, maybe he is busy or we have extra workload or someone live with us or the kids have extra needs at the time, or it's just a crazy season of life, whatever it may be, that can change. But with our current season of, thankfully, like, our lives are shared together every single day. We're both home together every day. There's never a time that we aren't, besides maybe a couple of hours. So we're able to satisfy that need, thankfully. Obviously, I know that is not the case for everyone, and I'm grateful for that. Very grateful. Yeah. And I think, like a lot of you have said, that comes across in the videos, and it always has, because you can tell, like, we've always been close to each other. So yeah, but if that is a time when we're not able to, then I have the same needs as him. And I'm not saying that when other women have that need every day. I honestly don't know, because, like we've talked about, this is such a taboo thing that people don't talk about. So I don't know what my friends are like. I know a select few, and I know that they are the same as me, and I know there's a few that aren't. So I don't think it matters. I don't know. I don't want that to be a thing. Like, if people have a higher drive or a lower drive or a higher need or a lower, whatever. I'm just telling you from my perspective, mine is the same as his, and it is every single day.
I would say too, like, and you correct me if I'm wrong, just masturbation in general has a negative outlook on it. So, like, from my perspective, like, if like she needs to get a job done, like, I don't take offense to that. I guess is what I'm saying. Like, I don't take, like, well, maybe I wasn't satisfied enough, so she's doing it herself. Like, those things don't cross my mind. I want to think that, honestly, I don't think it's hot.
Well, it's never a secret, too.
No, yeah, like, I think it's just, it's attractive.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's kind of.
Like, I don't hide it, and he doesn't hide it. Like,
Right.
It's open conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that really boils down to, like, we asked the question, like, how much is normal? Is it normal in general? Is it this and that? I don't think that answer really matters. I think truly what matters is, are you and your spouse cool with it? Like, are y'all fine with
Are you
what's
on the same page?
Yeah, on the same page with it. Nobody's taking it personal. Everybody's understanding the reasoning behind what's happening. So if it's one time a day, 3 times a day, once a month, like, none of that really matters when it comes to what others think, right? Like I said, I mean, when I was kind of growing up and, like, with everything, is like, it seemed like what was going on in my own head was like a problem because of how society looked at it. So
I do want to throw something in, because this was actually a comment. I think it was a comment. It might have been an email. I can't remember. But I actually read it last night, and we didn't talk about this, but I did. But it's interesting because somebody asked, or they were saying, like, growing up for them and even into adulthood, none of this is taboo. Like, it is normal conversations for, like, them and their community and friends and family and stuff like that. And they specifically asked, do we think, like, the way that we think it's perceived or the way that we're bringing it to the table is because of, like, basically religion and, like, being raised in a...
Absolutely.
I don't know if, like, a religious society is... That's not what I'm trying to say, but I think it is. And I was gonna answer it, but then I was like, no, let's address it, like, a little more in depth. Because
so maybe give your thoughts and I'll give my thoughts.
I think it is, and I think it's a product of kind of where we live. We're in the South, not deep South, but it's a very religious, and, like, I don't know, people just don't talk about this kind of stuff.
We're in the heart of the Southern Bible Belt.
And we grew up that way too. So those just weren't conversations, and it was kind of looked at as a negative thing. So yeah, I think it 100% affects it. And I think that different regions and different areas of the country with different communities can have a totally different perception. And I personally wish that we would have grown up differently.
Yeah. So I completely agree with her. However, I do think my household was different.
Yeah.
So like within my household and childhood, like sex, masturbation, porn, all this stuff, like, it was not things that were secrets. Like, we didn't, like, just, like, let's not talk about it. Like, it was very open in my family, like, all the way to the point, folks, that, like, I was a teenager. I wasn't young, but, like, I was in my room, like, when my mom had a fantasy party going on in the living room. So, like, it just wasn't. It wasn't weird.
I've even went to his mom's fantasy
She
parties.
has.
Like, it's just all very normal within that circle.
Right. So, like, within my house, I always felt normal, but, like, outside of the house, it felt weird because of the pressure of, I think, the religious beliefs and stuff like that. And it's just, I think what drives me crazy is people want this persona to, like, what they look like and what they think on this outside world, but when the doors are closed, like, they're the same. Like, that's it drives me crazy.
Yeah, when we're all behind closed doors, we all are the same. So,
right.
Like, why do we change it when the doors are open?
Exactly. If we're all the same behind the closed doors, why are we trying to make a different public good? Like, why is the public right way different than all of us think in our house?
It just creates an atmosphere for shame and guilt, and those things should never be associated with this talking about sex or marital relations or anything within a marriage. Should never be shame or guilt.
Yeah, like, we're very open with our children about it too, because, I mean, like I said, the reason I feel like part of our communication so well is because I am not embarrassed to talk about it, because it's how I grew up. And then once we kind of unveiled that really helped us out. But if you have two very awkward people that are awkward to talk about it, then sometimes it just never comes out, and that becomes a problem. So yeah, I mean, openness in your house is the best way to start, and then doing stuff like this, keep sharing this word out loud and not being scared to say it out loud will hopefully someday help the public view of sex in general.
And our kids are young, but, like, moving into the teenage years, we plan to be completely open and honest about everything. I want them to come to us with questions and not go to Google with questions, because that's could land them in a dark, scary place.
Or friends too. Like, you know, like when we were growing up, we didn't have Google.
Yeah.
We had the word of mouth from your friends that acted like they knew more than
And
everybody
sometimes
else.
it was so wrong. It's like,
So
oh
wrong.
my gosh, I never should have asked that. Should have just asked my parents, you know, who would have, well, not my parents.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's recap this. So the question was about women masturbation. And so you're saying that it's the same as me.
For me.
For you. And that we're open and honest about it. Neither one of us find pressure or shame or anything like that if the other one was to get that done. We understand the purpose behind it. But overall, the goal, at least in my opinion, the goal should be try to do this together.
Yes.
Right? Like, it still shouldn't be a normal thing that you're doing without, like she said in my video, give me the chance first, right? You know, like at least first dibs. And then if it doesn't work out, then so be it, whatever. You know, it's fine from that get-go.
Yeah.
Anything else around it? Oh, and keep talking about it. Like, never make it a shameful or thing that we shouldn't talk about. Make sure that you're being open and honest.
And allow space for it to change.
Yeah.
In a higher way or a lower way. It doesn't matter. Just keep it honest and open, and then everybody will be happy.
Right, because then also, like, if you're realizing that maybe it's starting to happen a little bit more than it used to, okay, well, what in our life can we change to, like,
what can we rearrange?
Right, what can we do to give ourselves more opportunity to do this kind of stuff together to where we're not needing to do it so individually?
Is there something we can let go of to make more time throughout the day or at night? Can we go to bed earlier? You know, can we do something every night together to try to spark that and then make time for it? Because, I mean, like you said, it's fine. There's no shame and guilt around it, but it's obviously so much better when it's with your spouse.
Yeah, I would say I can give the blanket statement that you should be having more spouse relations than individual relations. You know, if the teeter changes, let's change something up.
Yeah.
The teeter-totter. Okay. So that was the most difficult question, but the other two are just as important, and I think I have a lot of good conversation behind it. So the next one was about women and when they're on their menstrual cycle.
Yes.
And how your sex drive and urges might change during that time.
So I know for me, it gets a whole lot more important.
And I can completely agree. Like, the signs are there.
Yeah. Like, he doesn't like keep track of my cycle or anything. I don't even keep track of it myself.
I don't have to. I can just tell
That's what
when
I was
it's
gonna say. Like, he knows when it's coming before I know it's coming.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, should I go ahead and go to the store and get you some stuff because it feels like that's coming.
Yeah. It's like, we got to do something else too.
Right.
We got to do some other things. But yeah, I would say your drive is at the highest it possibly can. At the beginning and then kind of at the end. The middle, like the first 2 days, it's a little down. But yeah, right there before it starts and right there near the end, Lordy day.
Yeah. But I'd say that's normal. Like, hormonal wise, I think everything just like that is normal for that to happen. I'm not sure why or how, and I don't really care about the science, but it is proven. And I think as a whole, most women experience that when it's that time. And it's exciting. I mean, you know, and like there's been times when we've been in like a little bit of a dry spell maybe, and that time comes and it's like, thank God, because like this will help us kickstart that and get back to normal on a normal schedule.
Yeah, and I would say, and I don't know, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but it's just something I kind of witnessed. For the men, like when that happens, like don't shy away from it. Like, it might feel like they're just being a little overbearing or something like that, but it's because they want you.
Yeah.
They want you. And then I've also...
In many ways, not just physically.
Like, emotionally,
our needs are higher. Everything. All of our needs are higher during that time. And we need you all to give us more attention.
Right. And I think I said the words take advantage. That is not what I meant. It's more like seize the opportunity.
Yes. There you go.
when that time comes. And I will say, I would say during that time is when we've gotten a little bit more spicier. Like when we were kind of starting out and stuff, that's when you were more open to like being more honest about different stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Would you agree? I mean, over outside of that? So it's a good opportunity to maybe bring something new into the party and see what's going on there. It might be something that you can drag on that's outside of menstrual cycle time.
Yeah. I'm anxious to see, not anxious, I don't know if that's the right word. I'm interested to see how it goes, like moving forward with age, if that'll be the same thing. Maybe that's something that some of you all could enlighten me on. Like, does it stay the same? Does it get worse? Does it get better? How do the hormones like switch into Aging, I don't know. I don't know how any of that works. I know there's like assumptions that women, I think, get a higher sex drive later in life and men kind of slow down.
Mm-hmm.
But those are like, I don't trust any of those assumptions because those are all just, nobody ever talks about it. So
Yeah, exactly. I just thought of something. You all let us know down in the comments because we'll have this posted and out before the situation happens. But what about a guest in the next couple episodes? My mom's going to be here this weekend.
Oh, God.
Not detailed. Like, again, though, like, growing up, this has not been a taboo thing. Like,
no, yeah, I can see what you're saying, though, like, from a different
she's older.
age.
She's in her 50s. And she's also lost her husband, too, so that kind of comes into play.
Yeah.
Having something consistent to not having something
Your
consistent.
needs don't go away.
Right, and then kind of how to navigate that stuff and just kind of what she's feeling. So, that'd be good.
I think she would be so embarrassed.
She might be, but she's also pretty open to talk about
She
it.
is, but gosh, I can just see her being like, what?
We might have to give her some softballs. We'll see. We also got to see how she feels about potentially being on here. But if you do have questions, let's keep that in the head that's an opportunity here. She is, I don't know exactly in the 50s, but she's in her 50s.
Yeah.
I think like 54.
Mid, I think.
54, 55, somewhere like that. So if you have questions for her, shoot us an email or put it down in the comments.
And that could be also a thing that is more relatable to you all because we're in our 30s and we don't know everything, obviously. And yeah, that could be interesting.
And I can go ahead and straight up tell you, the apple didn't fall too far from the tree. So she's going to have some good information. So let us know some things down in the comments if you're interested in that.
And questions if you are interested in that.
Yeah, it would be nice. And maybe we could ask her too, just from like 30-year-old to 50-year-old. And if she's experienced any changes and stuff like that, I think she's going to say no. I think she's going to say it's gotten higher.
Yeah. Well, I do know that she just invited me to a fantasy party last weekend.
Right. So it's still kicking up.
So the last question that we're going to do today that I got asked in an email, and it was really interesting because this is something that me and him talk about a lot. And he has kind of always made me feel crazy when I talk about it. And it made me feel like it's an illusion that I've made up in my head, but I know it's not. But yeah, somebody asked, how do we, and mostly I, deal with, like when we go to public events and being out in public and stuff like that, when women are to hit on Zach. And it's rough. Because, just a few quick facts. I'm a Scorpio. I'm very possessive.
I'm a Cancer.
He's a Cancer.
Very pleasing.
Very pleasing. I take ownership over things that I love. And I don't take any of that lightly. And I'm also pretty feisty as a person when it comes to that. So, yeah, I've always brought it up with him and he's like, that doesn't happen. And I'm like, you just don't see it. But I think that's a common thing. I feel like men as a whole don't really see it because you just think people are being nice. And that's not the case.
Yeah, I will say it's been tougher to navigate and for me to see the signs because I do I'm having friendly conversation because we're talking about homesteading and we're talking about something like this and that. And I think it's just being a nice conversation. And then she'll tell me something afterwards and I'm like, really? I didn't see that. I don't know. But what the viewer explained more was, and we've had this conversation and it does make sense. It's not necessarily me, right? It's not there. It's also more of our relationship.
Right.
And it's
our, the way that we interact with each other.
And that's attractive and the, good husband, good father, good thing. She actually said, women turn into vultures.
They do.
And that I can see. I can see it more from that perspective, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess from my standpoint, what I just always try to prove in those situations, I'm literally just talking about homesteading, and just but that's just general rule. And anyways, right?
Yeah.
Don't be extra, fellas. Be polite, be nice to the conversation, but don't add extra.
Yes. And you never have. You've never made me feel uncomfortable in those situations. I'm very thankful for that because that can turn south really quick.
Yeah.
If the woman even assumes that the man is even a little bit into the conversation more than they should be, that can, well, at least for me, that can go down a very dark hill that you may never recover from.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
And I would feel really bad for you. But, thankfully it's never gotten to that point. And is like, we joke about it. We really do. But then there also has been some hard lines that we've drawn with certain people, and just, some people just are not ever going to respect your spouse enough to not take the conversation too far. And if that's the case, that's just not a relationship, obviously, not a friendship that you want to have, because you can't trust that person. You trust your spouse, but there's still a lot to be said about not trusting that other person.
Yeah,
no matter, what your spouse does, if they do all the right things in all the right ways, the other person can still take it too far.
Yeah, some people are just extremely bold, and just right in front of you.
Yeah.
And so like when we do the meet and greets and stuff, right? Like we normally hug everyone that comes in. But we watch and we pay attention. I mean, there are some that have been a little extra touchy, like on my arms and stuff like that. And I've acknowledged that, and I'm like, all right, we need to back up and get some space.
Most of the time, all it takes is a side eye from me to that person, and they stop immediately.
Yeah. So, I mean, to answer the question wholeheartedly, it is something that we discuss, and it is something that we acknowledge that happens. But it's something that I'm a good boy.
Yeah. And I let him be a good boy.
Yeah.
But there's also times when I do intervene, because, don't be disrespectful to me. Like, first of all, you're disrespecting him and our marriage, but now you're just blatantly being disrespectful to me in front of my face, and I'm going to let you know that I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just one of those things. But, I mean, that's in general, right? Like, if you're...
Yeah, because like with meet and greets and stuff, it happens. But gosh, I think it happens more on our cruises that we take. We go on a lot of cruises. We're avid cruisers, and people just become unhinged when it gets dark at night.
I say good boy.
Yeah, you do.
She showed me a TikTok yesterday. It's about a guy. It was obviously a joke. Kind of. But it was a joke. He was like publicly apologizing to his wife.
For all the things he said.
Yeah. He said, how dare me laugh at a woman's joke on our TV show that we like. It's just little things,
Yeah.
I worship her. She's the only woman that I want in my life. I don't need anything else and don't want anything else. So.
Yeah, couldn't handle anything else even if you didn't want it. Nope. I really am kidding. Like, I know that probably sounds like red flags, but it's not. And I don't want the terms possessive and all that to sound negative, but we've been married for a long time, and we've adjusted to that, and it's okay.
We're big on the horoscopes. Like she mentioned, Scorpio and Cancer. Cancers want somebody to be possessive over them, because we are like, we're just friendly, and it seems like everything's just kind of surface level, but we can get along with absolutely everybody. When you meet a Scorpio and like they attach to you, you can't get rid of them.
Yeah.
But we want that. Like, I want that in a relationship. I want to feel that that love and just not letting go. Like, I wouldn't want her to set me free, and like then things happen and flirting happens and stuff like that. Like, I love that she got her eye on me. Like, I like that. Get it, girl.
So what about flipped?
Flipped?
Yeah.
I'm extremely jealous.
That way I don't sound like the only one with red flags.
Right.
Throw you under the bus.
Yeah, I will say, like, in person, especially at like events that we do, if guys are doing it, they're much more sneaky than women. I feel like women are a little bit more bolder and blunt and in front, and you can see the signs pretty easy. I think guys are a little bit sneakier, but for the most part, I can always tell for the main piece is if they go to her first or if they come to me first. Like, if we ever meet another couple, I always make sure to shake the man's hand first. Like, hey, there's a level of respect here. I'm going to you to introduce myself, and then I'll acknowledge the wife or the spouse, or however it is, just like showing that level of respect. And so I kind of expect that towards people that come to meet us. If they do go straight to her for a hug, I'm like, you like the cleavage shirt, huh? That we get told all about.
How do you feel when my cleavage is hanging out on videos? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay. So everyone knows. Yeah. Not you all, obviously. You all are not the ones we're talking about, but my goodness, the comments, like, it's okay.
It's about every other one about her low-cut shirts and stuff. I don't want my woman to be covered up.
Yeah, which we'll do a whole other video
about modesty and everything. You can have your own visions. Don't portray them on us, right? Like, whatever you want to do, you can do. what we want to do is what we want to do.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, but to answer your question, I mean, I am jealous. Like if I told y'all in previous videos, it's if her emotion changes, if I can tell that she's just being friendly and it's just getting through a conversation, that's fine. But if her emotion changes to where I can feel like she's actually making a connection, that's when I start getting jealous and have questions. So
that's what you keep your eye on.
Yeah. So to truly answer my question, I'm not so much worried about the guy, watching her. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I know you can handle yourself, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like I know you see signs and will shut things down better than I will. So I don't have any fear of you letting things get too far.
Gotcha.
What I'm getting at is if I can sense your emotion being a little stronger, then that's when I get nervous.
Got it.
There it is. You can do this already.
I know.
Stop it. My knee's dead. But this car's back.
Well, we should have done it this way the whole time.
Like this?
Yeah.
That would have been nice. Yeah, the window wouldn't have been a problem. Now we know. We're still learning. All right. So that wraps up today's video. I will go ahead and let y'all know the next video is going to be about men and what they think about weight gain within their spouse. And then it's going to be kind of for both of us because neither one of us is solid when we first met, right? I mean, that's a lot to do with it because I think a lot of focus is on women weight gain, but men act like they're fine. Yeah, like they're fine. So that's going to be the next one. It's going to be a good one to talk about. It's something that we've gotten a lot of experience with when it comes from outside, like portrayals on us, which has been interesting. But that'll be a good one to talk about. Again, if you still have questions to ask us, please keep sending them an email. It's been absolutely great to have that. And it's keeping the content nice and spicy, too.
It is. It's fun. And we know that we're answering what you want. So, yeah, always ask and we will always deliver.
That's right.
I think we have proven that.
Yes, and it won't hold back. All right, y'all. If you're new around here, please hit that subscribe button, and we love y'all.
We will see y'all next time.
Hey, she got it right that time. Look at you.